Okay, let's dive right into this explainer and unpack a topic that honestly keeps a whole lot of Australian small business owners up at night. We're going to look at exactly how to protect your business from growing cyber threats, and we are going to do it without all the overwhelming, headache inducing IT jargon. We'll be breaking down a framework called the Essential 8, translating it into plain English, and showing you exactly where you need to start. So here is our roadmap for today. We'll cover 1. The SME cyber threat. 2. Meet the Essential 8. 3. Targeting maturity level 1. 4. Top security priorities. 5. The supporting controls. And 6. The cyber insurance connection. All right, part 1. The SME cyber threat. Before we get into the solutions, we have to establish the reality of what Australian business owners are actually facing today. We need to know what we're protecting ourselves against, right? $56,600. Let that sink in for a second. This staggering number is the average self-reported cost of a single cybercrime incident for a small Australian business, according to the ASD. And what's even crazier, that figure is actually up 14% from the previous reporting period. It's just a massive, sometimes fatal, financial hit for a small enterprise to absorb. And look, this isn't some rare lightning strike event either. It is happening constantly. The Australian Signals Directorate, the ASD, receives a cybercrime report literally every 6 minutes. You put that together over a year, and it totals more than 84,700 reported incidents. It's basically a continuous ticking clock of opportunistic attacks, just rattling the doorknobs looking for a way in. So, what's causing all of this? Well, a major culprit behind these alarming numbers is something called business email compromise, or BEC. Basically, this is a form of social engineering fraud. Attackers aren't necessarily hacking your firewall. They're manipulating people into handing over access or money. They often hijack email accounts to intercept invoices or subtly redirect payments to their own bank accounts. It is a massive driver of these incidents. To put that into perspective, business email compromise sits behind roughly 1 in 3 cybercrime incidents hitting Australian businesses today. That is a huge chunk of the pie. It's a highly targeted, highly effective method because it specifically exploits human trust and our standard, everyday business communication. Which brings us to part 2, meet the Essential 8. So, how do we actually fight back against all this? We use the Essential 8. This is a set of cybersecurity controls published by the government. It's Australia's practical, evidence-based baseline for protecting your systems. Now, quick caveat, while it's mandatory for some government entities, it is not legally mandatory for small businesses. However, it's widely considered the absolute best-in-class mitigation strategy for protecting against those common cyber threats we just talked about. Implementing this will meaningfully, drastically reduce your cyber risk. Moving on to part 3. Targeting maturity level 1. Now, I know cybersecurity often causes instant anxiety. The idea of implementing 8 technical IT controls can sound totally overwhelming. But here's the good news. You do not need to build Fort Knox to stay safe. If we look at the ASD's maturity model, level 0 means minimal controls. That's definitely not a safe place to be. But look at level 1. It's the basic baseline aimed directly at small and medium businesses. You just need to hit maturity level 1 to lock your doors against the vast majority of those opportunistic attacks. You can happily leave the rigorous, super complex level 3 stuff to massive enterprises and critical infrastructure. All right, part 4, top security priorities. So, how do we get to level 1 without wanting to pull our hair out? Let's break this down into the highest impact actions you can take first. You absolutely don't have to tackle all 8 controls perfectly on day 1. If you're starting from scratch, just focus on these heavy hitters: multi-factor authentication, regular backups, patching your software, and restricting administrative privileges. Let's look a bit closer at these. Priority number 1 is an absolute must-have: multi-factor authentication, or MFA. This just means requiring a second verification step, like a code sent to your phone or an app notification, in addition to your normal password. Why is it priority 1? Because it flat out stops the vast majority of credential-based attacks. It's your absolute highest impact, lowest cost move. Now, to be fair, super sophisticated attacks like session hijacking can sometimes still bypass standard MFA, so it's not a magical silver bullet, but it is an absolute baseline necessity. Priority 2 targets the devastating threat of ransomware through regular backups. Think of it like this. If an attacker encrypts your systems and demands a payout, a clean backup means you can just restore your data and tell them to take a hike. The steps here are crucial, though. You need to automate your cloud backups, keep at least one offline copy entirely disconnected from your live systems so the ransomware literally can't reach it,
And most importantly, test the restore process at least annually. Remember, a backup is completely useless if you don't actually know for sure that it works when things go wrong. Priorities 3 and 4 involve keeping your software patched against known vulnerabilities and restricting administrative privileges. For that last one, your staff should use standard accounts for their daily work and email. Admin accounts, the ones that can install software and alter major system settings, should be totally separate and strictly used for IT tasks. Think of it as limiting the blast radius. If a standard account gets hacked, the attacker is boxed in. They can't easily install malware or spread through your entire network. It's one of the most important yet frequently overlooked controls out there. Part 5. The supporting controls. So once you have those heavy hitters locked down, we add the supporting controls to round out the full essential 8. These remaining controls are a bit more technical, sure, but they're equally important for building a really comprehensive defense. They involve configuring Microsoft Office to block malicious macros, which, by the way, are a super common way attackers sneak malware into email attachments. It also includes application control, meaning your systems will only allow pre-approved software to run, and user application hardening, which basically involves disabling risky, outdated browser plugins. Your IT provider can usually get these set up for you fairly quickly behind the scenes. Finally, Part 6, the cyber insurance connection. Now, this is where it gets really interesting for your bottom line. What makes this entire framework so absolutely crucial is how these technical IT actions tie directly back to your business's financial safety net. We are seeing a massive shift in the insurance industry right now. Essential 8 controls, particularly MFA, are increasingly becoming a hard requirement for cyber insurance underwriting. If you don't have baseline controls like MFA enabled on your email, cloud systems, and remote access, you might face sky-high premiums. Or honestly, you might find it impossible to get covered at all. Insurers simply want to see that you are taking the basic precautions. And it doesn't just stop at getting the policy. This matters immensely at claim time too. Often, a cyberclaim arises from an attack vector that one of these specific Essential 8 controls would have blocked. So if you ignored a control that could have stopped an attack, insurers might actually dispute or deny your claim based on the fine print in your policy terms. This is incredibly relevant if you get hit by social engineering fraud, like BEC or ransomware. Ultimately, implementing these practical Essential 8 steps, starting with MFA, your backups, patching, and account privileges, it isn't just about stopping hackers. It is about actively strengthening your insurance position and making sure your business can survive a worst-case scenario. It's about true resilience. So take a hard look at your IT setup today and ask yourself this. If a sophisticated attack bypasses your frontline defenses tomorrow, will your insurance actually write the check to save your business, or will a missing baseline control cost you everything?